All right, and we said about the AI, we do have a disruption plan. As you saw, the meeting is not passcode protected because luckily people with disabilities right now are not focused by hate groups. But um, if we do get Zoom bombed, we will close the meeting and then touch base with you all via email. What's next? Yep, these agreements we can adapt, we can change. This is a living document. Approval of the minutes that we met March 7th. Now, if you would be so good as to see if your name Tana, did you want to do a meditation moment today? I know you just got here, so you're probably still getting settled in.
I'm perfectly good, thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
you are? You sound very calm. Okay, we'll turn it over to Tana for 3 minutes.
Okay, so the meditation today is that we are going to close our eyes and we are going to think of the thoughts that are coming to our mind. And while you're thinking of those thoughts, you can, when you reopen your eyes, you can put them in the chat of what those thoughts were. If they were negative thoughts, how did we replace them with a positive thought? And if they were a positive thought, what were they? And make sure you breathe while you're doing this exercise. Okay, you could go ahead and open your eyes and put them in the chat. Today. This is great. I'm so excited. There's so many coming into the chat. So many of you had such good lunches today. I'm jealous. Well, whenever you're ready, Dakota.
Thank you so much for that, Tana. Just a little way for us to sort of center and be aware of all the chit chat. They call it monkey mind, I think. Misty and I are going to present on the Mental Health Services Act and its transition to the Behavioral Health Services Act. This is a special time of year in behavioral health because we are excited to present this to you and to talk about ways that you can tell us what the county can do. I know for this. So Misty and I are going to share about the MHSA, or we call it MISA sometimes, and it funds some of our department programs and how you can participate in giving feedback on MISA funded services. That which ones you'd like to keep, which you would like to change. And we're also going to talk about the new BHSA, the Behavioral Health Services Act. That's a proposition that we voters approved barely last March to modernize and replace MISA. It was back in 2004 that Californians voted to have rich people pay 1 penny on every $1 million, and that would go into fund public health, mental health services, and that's called the MHSA. This was Prop 63, and it required a community participation and planning process, and your feedback informs the plan all year round. There's the Behavioral Health Commission, the regional mental health boards, the community advisory groups, allied healthcare, criminal justice, local governments, community based organizations, consumers, and families, all letting us know what needs to happen for MHSA. So the new BHSA is going to use the same funding process, and it officially became active in January, but the first integrated plan is not due until early a year from July. That's 2026. And this allows the department some time to prepare for the change, to do this shift over. But in the meantime, we are still following MHSA. Now, by law, the county looks at other funding sources before first using MISA dollars. This creates a braided funding stream, like the different pieces of a hair braid. It combines funds from different sources to create a single budget for projects and programs. So program development and MISA plan development coincide. And now, usually, the program ideas come first. Then we explore which funding streams can cover the costs. And getting community feedback, so important. It's part of the law, too. We accept feedback all year round, but this time of year, we formalize that process with these presentations that we're giving. And you may have seen a similar presentation at another meeting. So, what is MISA? It's a 700-page report that describes MISA funded programs and their progress, their outcomes, and it's authorized by the Riverside County Board of Supervisors, who then give it to the state. You know, we're dealing with taxpayer money here, and we keep hearing about fraud and waste and abuse at a national level, and these are our protections from that. We have places we report to, so the money doesn't get wasted. There are two types of MISA reports: the 3-year plan, and that includes goals over a 3-year period, and the annual updates. That's a progress report every year. And this year's plan for 2025 is an annual update. Now, MISA is like a book that has chapters, and each chapter is a component, and each component addresses a different part of the public mental health service system. We're going to briefly look at each and provide you with some highlights, some things that we're very proud of. The first chapter, CSS. This is community services and supports. And each component receives a specific percentage of the county's MISA funds. In fact, CSS gets over half, and it receives the most. This includes the high intensity case management and therapy program that you hear us talk about, FSP, which is a full service partnership for the most severe cases. And there is a second component, chapter 2. This is PEI, prevention and early intervention, and it receives the second largest amount of dollars, 19%. So PEI is for people who don't meet the full criteria for behavioral health diagnosis, and it was designed to prevent the onset of serious mental illness. And PEI tries to reduce stigma related to seeking services, reduces discrimination against people with a diagnosis, all to prevent the onset of a severe mental illness. And early intervention, as opposed to PEI, is for people who have had symptoms for a year or less and do not meet criteria for diagnosis. So it's more low intensity, more short term intervention. And some of the CSS and PEI plan highlights include, in addition to that last screen that had all those different PEI programs, our crisis system of care we are so proud of now. It's 24/7. And the number, if you ever need it, is 951-686-HELP. It's on the screen. It'll be on your chat too. It provides access to our around the clock behavioral health mobile crisis teams. And it also funds the urgent care centers, the 24/7 walk-in mental health urgent care clinics. We have 3, one for each area of the county. Other highlights from the plan: Care Court. That stands for Community Assisted Recovery and Empowerment Act. Care Court. It launched October of 23, and Riverside County got on it early because we saw a lot of hope and possibility with this program. It's a collaborative court team that serves consumers with schizophrenia spectrum disorders who are court ordered into supportive treatment. And this program celebrates its first graduates last December, one of the first graduations in the state. So as of January this year, over 400 people were referred and 116 people became Care Court clients. PEI-funded Suicide Prevention Coalition pioneered clinical bereavement support survivors of suicide loss. Community-based therapists were trained using a manual that was developed specifically for our county by this woman, Dr. Sally Spence Thomas. She's a nationally recognized leader in the field. And the sessions are no cost for participants. And then, in addition to that, we have a partnership with the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. We trained community volunteers to facilitate suicide loss support groups. Those were nearly non-existent before this initiative. And once again, we're dealing with somebody with lived experience leading the group of people, which leads to that whole other system and power balance, which is much better. So innovation Chapter 3, it's funded out of CSS and PEI. And innovation plans are big research projects. They're designed to advance knowledge in the field, not just fill service gaps. They are time limited, 3 to 5 years. And a year ago, the MHSA administration successfully completed the state review process to receive $29 million for the Mindful Body and Recovery Program. And well, part of that is funding the program. This is an eating disorder intensive outpatient and education program like never seen before in county services. This level of care had been missing in public behavioral health. Early implementation started last year, and you can actually see the flyer. It's a trifold brochure on the shared Google Drive with if Misty's got it, she can put it into the chat. Our shared Google Drive is where we can upload documents and you can download them. And you can upload flyers. And I see Tana's hand is up.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I did call the eating disorder one, and they had no clue what we were talking about. And so I had to educate them on the flyer and the stuff that we had gotten from the county. And so they're going to be looking into that and getting back to me.
We have people here at this meeting who are very versed on the eating disorder program. Jabren is here. She can answer any questions anybody has about the program. Jabren, did you want to come off mic or anything?
Sure. The program is starting and launching in May, so it has not begun yet. It is only open to adolescents ages 12 to 18 who are Medi-Cal eligible. Referrals will go through the CARES line, which is the phone number that's listed on the screen right now. And that process might be in the process of being refined. The person needs to be assessed to determine if they qualify, and then it's referred over to our program. So if you have any questions, I can put my information back in the chat, my email if you want to contact me, and I can answer any questions you might have. I think I'm going to be doing a presentation pretty soon.
Yes.
I believe in May. So if you want to ask me, or I can answer them then. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to promote this on two levels. One is to the staff, right? So that when somebody calls, they'll know, to connect to you, and also the public. So it's going to be a multi-year marketing deal. Okay. Thank you, Jabren. And thank you, Tana. So, workforce education training. This is WET, and it uses a portion of the CSS funds to develop the public behavioral health workforce. It retains and develops county employee skills, and WET centrally coordinates one of the largest behavioral health internship programs and in the Inland Empire. Last year, WET received 120 applications and accepted 37 MA and BA students from 10 different universities. 42% were bilingual, 50% Spanish speakers, and which Spanish is a threshold language, as you know. And of course, our county hires a majority of the graduates. Now, Capital Facilities and Technology, CFTN. Renovation is complete on the new Franklin Residential Care Facility that opened in March. This is the ribbon cutting picture. And the Riverside facility has 84 beds and integrated on-site FSP services. The Mead Valley Wellness Village is breaking ground. They broke ground. They're making progress. This village is a campus of behavioral health services providing a continuum of behavioral health care from outpatient to residential in a single location. And also the village is going to provide some physical health care services and employment support. We're very excited about this. So there are two formal opportunities for you to express your opinions on the plan. And the first is the 30-day public posting of the draft plan. It just went live on our website April 1st. And when you go to the website, it's ruhealth.org, which Misty will put in the chat. And if you go to this page, you can use the feedback form, which is right here, and look at all the ways you can get us. You've got a QR code. you've got mailing address, you've got an email address, you've got voicemail, you can leave a message, and here is the actual electronic form that you can submit. Here are the 3 questions on the form. It's just 3 questions. Which behavioral health programs are you aware of and would like to keep? Which are you aware of and would like to see us change? And what other thoughts or comments do you have about our services? So that's an open-ended question. And if you have a great idea, like we should be offering EMDR, well, somebody did that a few years ago and now they're offering it. So the feedback form is a powerful tool. The next opportunity to provide feedback, these are at a public hearing conducted by the Behavioral Health Commission. Now, this year, the MHSA is going to hold public hearings during the popular May is Mental Health Month outreach events. And as you can see, the first one is May 1st in the desert. The following Thursday is May 8th, and it's going to be at Valley-Wide Rec Park in San Jacinto. The next one is going to be the following Thursday, Fairmont Park in Riverside. So it's the first 3 Thursdays of May. Now, to coincide with the in-person public hearings, there's a virtual public hearing you can see. It's a video, and it'll be posted in English, ASL, and Spanish, and it'll run 24/7 for 3 weeks over that period of May, starting May 1st. It'll run for 3 weeks. And so the plan itself is now posted, and you can find it at ruhealth.org. So, does my feedback do anything? Short answer is yes. The crisis system of care is a good example of feedback creating change. At one time, our crisis system of care was limited by a psychiatric emergency room and law enforcement. And the community said that it needed more options. And so over time, our crisis response options have expanded into the system of care we know today. And it just continues to grow as the community expresses need. Informed feedback, of course, is the best. You don't want to say, you go start this program when we're already doing it. So it's good to familiarize yourself with what programs we have. We need to have you understand the existing continuum of care and related programs. And you can find these online. I have brought a graph of what the continuum of care looks like. And of course, there's a lot of detail in there. So we have that posted on the shared drive, and you can look at it at your leisure. And you can also share your voice with like-minded community members in community advisory groups. So they have regular attendance. Let me click this and see if it'll show you how to get it. Yeah, you just search ruhs.org and go down to behavioral health, about us, behavioral health advisory, and it brings the committees up. Anybody's welcome to join these. And you've got the list of committees. In that stakeholder packet that you're going to get, it lists what the topic is of the May Western Advisory Board. And I can get you connected to all of those. Regional TAE collaborations, it's all part of that. So when you go to ruhealth.org, you can find about more of our programs, the CARES line, crisis support system of care, where you can go to get help, the complete guide to mental health services, mental health urgent cares, and Take My Hand, which started as one of those innovation projects. If you would like to get email announcements on the public hearing and other MISA program activities, then you can sign up to get on our distribution list using any of these email addresses. You don't have to grab them now because they are on the Google Shared Drive. You can get them off there. And I'm just going to stop for a second to ask if there are any questions about the Mental Health Services Act, the MHSA annual update, before Misty goes to talk about our BISA. Any questions?
Yes, Michelle.
You mentioned the bereavement counseling for suicide loss survivors. And so I just wanted, I'm putting in the chat, I just wanted to share the flyers with the group in case you need them with anyone, or if you wanted to share them. This is a great resource. It's absolutely free for 8 sessions and has, regardless of insurance. So I just wanted to share it with the group so people could have access to them.
Thank you for that, Michelle. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Misty.
Thank you, Dakota. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the Behavioral Health Service Act, or BISA. Please keep in mind that this is just a snapshot. This legislation is hundreds of pages, and since it's not finalized, it is continuing to have some changes. So what is BHSA? Last year, Governor Newsom announced his intent to modernize the MHSA. Because the MHSA was voter approved, a new proposition was required to change this law, which is where we saw Proposition 1 on the ballot that narrowly passed last year. BHSA became law in January, but also contained specific timelines to allow for the transition from MISA to BISA. So if MISA was a book with 5 chapters, then BISA is a book with 3 chapters: Housing, FSP, Full Service Partnership, and Behavioral Health Services. Like MISA, each component has its own intent, rules, and regulations. The transition from MISA to BISA is called the Behavioral Health Transformation, or we'll refer to it as BHT. The practical application of any legislation is a process. BISA is no exception. The state is performing its due diligence with
Misty.
BISA, working with county representatives to fine-tune the rules of this act. This takes time and can change as each county considers how the new rules will affect them. This also means that Riverside County has to wait until the foundation of the rules is finalized before knowing how to proceed. I'll give you a current overview of the status of the BISA transformation, but just remember, elements are being revised all the time and they may change. So some of the guiding principles of the legislation shape the new goal. There's been a philosophical shift that's focused on maximizing funding efficiency, reducing homelessness and getting people off the street, and increasing accountability over these funds. Here are some of the changes. With MISA, it focused on serious mental illness. With BISA, it's serious mental illness and serious substance use disorder is now included. MISA like to reach people before they have consequences of the serious mental illness and promote mental health recovery. BISA will address the consequences of untreated behavioral health disorders and then prevent them from becoming more severe. MISA was focused on early intervention designed to prevent the onset of serious mental illness, whereas BISA focuses on early intervention that's designed to prevent the disorders from becoming more disabling. MISA outreach was based on stigma reduction, education, and awareness, and BISA outreach will be based on connecting people to care. So there are some key planning and reporting changes as well. Some of the bigger changes are highlighted on the screen in red. So we are currently in the process of engaging community, which is the Community Planning and Participation Process, the CPPP. With MISA, that happens every year. But for BISA, it's going to get a lot bigger and include very specific stakeholders. The larger process, however, will only need to take place every 3 years versus our annual update for MISA. The BISA reporting feedback process will also have very specific stakeholders involved, which is the 5 largest cities within Riverside County, the local health jurisdictions, and the managed care plans. The MISA plan is being replaced with something called the County Integrated Plan. So instead of the plan document just containing information on MISA-funded programs, it will contain reports on all BISA programs. So it will be a much larger report that includes all programs and all funding. Under BISA, the state will have greater oversight. They can direct plan revisions, and then now they also will be able to provide sanctions for late plan submissions and other non-compliance. So the new BISA report or integrated plan will contain program information on all of these funding sources, so the whole pie, whereas in the past, the MISA reporting contained just that dark purple section that you see up there. And then you'll notice on here some realignment funding. So what realignment funds are is they're state funds that are allocated to local governments to help the cost of programs that have been realigned from state to local government. And those funds normally come from sales tax or vehicle license fees. And then also that bright blue section is the AB 109 funds. Those are used specifically for community-based programs to prevent recidivism for criminal offenders. Those programs include drug and alcohol treatment, mental health treatment, anger management, job training, and more. So the colors on this slide represent how the funding categories in MISA become split up in BISA. If you're interested in this slide, please let us know. We'll also make this slide available to you. First thing you should know under MISA is that the state took 5% of the money right off the top. Under BISA, voters chose to allow the state to take 10% off the top. This extra money helps to finance population-based prevention, innovation partnership fund, and workforce initiative, along with costs to administer the plan. So the transformation is not a simple crosswalk from MISA to BISA. FSP and housing were subcategories in the MISA CSS component. Those two will now have their own components in BISA, but the housing is defined differently in BISA. So in MISA, housing included support services like outreach and case management, but in BISA, the housing component can only be used to develop physical housing or to pay housing costs. Physical housing development costs in MISA used to fall under the CFTN component. With BISA, the supportive housing and homeless outreach will move under the FSP or the BHS component. The other two subcategories of MISA CSS were general service development, which includes funds for crisis system of care, criminal justice programs, outreach, and peer programs. Both of those will now move over into the BHS, behavioral health service component, which becomes a kitchen sink. Everything else goes in here. So if it's not housing or FSP, it all will fall under this BHS component. It'll have the greatest demands on it and will most likely result in most of the program cuts unless other funding sources can be found. Most MISA prevention has moved to the state under the BHSA. Prevention at the county level has been significantly reduced. The definition of early intervention has also changed to include services that constitute our crisis system of care. The state will assume some of the workforce initiatives, but otherwise workforce development will also come out of that BHS component. Some innovation funds have moved to the state, and in any new innovation plans will come again out of that BHS component. All new capital facilities projects, except for physical housing, will come out of that BHS component. So you can see why we're calling it the kitchen sink. And just so you know, our eating disorder innovative plan funds are tied into place until 2029. So the transition to BHSA does not affect that project at all. So where is the department in the transition process? Key development leaders attend a series of work groups with the California Behavioral Health Directors Association, which is our primary advocacy group with the state on regulations like this one. The state has released the first two draft modules of what will become the BHSA guidebook. These have been reviewed by department experts and feedback has been provided to the state. More modules are to come. The department has formed a work group chaired by department deputies Shannon McCleary Hooper and Jacob Ruiz. This group will create an internal timeline, examine MISA program funding to decide which programs are going to be at risk based on the new BISA regulations and community priorities. They'll develop a plan for the new BISA stakeholder process and prepare a system for the new operational and reporting demands. So overall, Riverside is at the same spot as other counties that are our size. On the screen now, you'll see a timeline that we're currently preparing for. The big changes will come July 1st, 2026. with our first final report being due in January of 2029. And that's all for our presentation today. Thank you for joining us. Are there any questions in regards to BHSA?
A version of this presentation is being delivered in many various meetings and collaboratives. So there's a chance you could end up in a meeting where it's happening again. That's how I know anything from it, is just from watching this over and over. So last weekend, we sponsored the Our Paths Foundation All Abilities Walk. That was last weekend, right? Yeah. And Tana was one of the participants. She brought somebody. We had a table. We engaged with a bunch of people. I do want to mention the multicultural symposium that we're putting it together. We're 2 weeks out from it. It is on April 17th, and it's free and you should come. We are going to have, let me click so you can see some of this stuff. We're going to have dancers, cultural dancers. We're going to have food and music, drums, and something called the Human Library, where you can engage in a conversation with somebody who's a subject matter expert on something you probably know nothing about. And of course, we'll have resources there too, a couple panel discussions. And Misty will put in the chat the registration link, but do it soon because we are limited to 150 people. It's going to be fun. So I want to check with Joseph. Get your hand up.
I think I heard yesterday at the symposium meeting that we are at 126 people that have signed up, if I understand correctly. So if anybody in this group wants to be a part, you better jump in now.
Well, that's good news. We were worried about setting up something, having a party, and nobody came. Well, that's not going to happen. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph. And then the Neurodiversity Disabilities in the Workforce Summit. It's Thursday. This is put on by our friends at Defeating Epilepsy, and this group, the Weight Alliance, is sponsoring it. And what we've learned is that often the barrier to employment for disabled people is employers' stigmatized thoughts and misconceptions. It's an exploration of best practices for hiring, retaining, and engaging people with disabilities and neurodivergent conditions in the workplace. And people with disabilities are going to be sharing their experiences at work. They have some of the sessions on things like businesses, how to keep your website ADA compliant to ensure digital accessibility, unlocking the potential of neurodiversity, some success stories from inclusive employers and how their disabled employees have risen to the challenge and come up with answers nobody else couldn't. You'll be able to hear professionals who have successfully integrated neurodivergent employees into their teams. And understanding neurodivergence and disabilities. In fact, I'll put this in. So, like how to create a workplace culture that supports and embraces diverse abilities. So the link to sign up, and this is free, is in the chat. We definitely recommend it. Oh, look what time it is, you guys. Trivia. Okay. Jane, I think, well, I was going to ask you to sit this one out. Are you going to sit this? Just let 2 weeks go by before you win again. You know, sometimes the smartest people. All right, get ready to chat. Type. Today is International Carrot Day. Who knew that? That's not the answer. Okay, so along with International Carrot Day for a $20 Starbucks gift certificate, which of the following statements is not true? I'm going to give you 4. And you can come off mic and say it, or you can put it in the chat. A, baby carrots are actually pieces of regular sized carrots that have been cut and peeled. B, the world's longest carrot, measured over 15 feet, was grown by a United Kingdom farmer in 2016. C, chewing raw carrots acts as a natural toothbrush, helping to clean teeth and fight dental decay. Or D, carrot leaves were once used as a fashion statement carried in the hair, especially in 17th century England. Rachel, it is not A. Diamond, it is B. You got it. Diamond Perry. You were the first one, and then Misty was just right behind you. The answer is the world's longest carrot, measured over 20 feet, which technically, I guess that's still 15 feet, but So what I need from you, Diamond, is to make sure that I have your email address so I can get you your Starbucks gift card. And go eat a carrot now. I love that we're seeing purple and it's like a yellow carrots now in the stores. We can go on to new business. Exciting times. This group voted to sponsor the Autism Unity in Motion Autism Walk coming up on April 26th. So if you want to join us and be part of tabling, we have some members who are going to participate in the walk, which is cool. And it's going to be at the Railway Museum. It's nice because it's not in the desert where it's too hot. And it's not at Fairmount Park because everything's always at Fairmount Park. So in the Southern California Railway Museum, I put in a special request to say not only should you not allow glitter and balloons, also whistles. Please don't give away free whistles because that, for those of us with hearing aids and people with sensory disabilities, the whistles are so shrill. And it's hard. You can't tell a kid not to whistle when he's got the whistle in his hand. He wants to put it in his mouth. A couple more events I'm going to tell you about before we go to our community roundtable. The Suicide Coalition is putting this together. It is coming up Wednesday, April 23rd, which is towards the end of the month. And it's strength-based approaches to suicide prevention in the Black community. If you have some African American friends, they might be interested in attending. If you have friends who service African Americans, or if you're an ally to the African American community, sign up. That is going into the chat right now. And then this one sounded fun, so I just wanted to mention it. It's an open discussion and open mic coming up April 19th. So this group is the Paris Valley Filipino American Association Incorporated, and they are allies with the Spanish population. So the topic is remembering the farm workers movement and solidarity between Filipino and Mexican cultures. It's put together with the Todec Legal Center, and they're the people that give advice on how to not engage with Homeland Security, what's required of you and what is not required of you. So these are good people, and they're looking for people with lived experience. Open discussion, open mic to create dialogue and gain inspiration to express yourself using creative outlets, including spoken word, poetry, music, and dance. So I love that they're doing that. We have you've heard the term ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. There's a virtual class coming up on the 16th. That'll go on the drive also. And that's like one a month. April 16th, they're doing a daytime and an evening class. And then in May, they'll do another one. And music, snacks, and activities at the Temecula Valley School District's Resource Fair, April 16th. That's a week from Sunday afternoon. Is that right? No, the 16th is on a Wednesday. But it is kind of an afternoon evening thing from 4 to 6. And Temecula is teaming up with Moreno Valley School District for this, or Murrieta Valley, excuse me. And Alyssa has her hand up. You probably know something about this, Alyssa.
I just had a question about it because I did reach out to see about being a vendor, and I got a auto reply response that they're on break up until that same week. So I'm not sure if vendor registration might be closed already, but I don't know if anyone can provide insight on that.
That is a good question. I'm going to try opening the link right now and see what happens. So the link that Misty just put in the chat, this is where you sign up for it. The Spring 2025 Resource Fair.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad to have answers. April. Misty, do you want to talk about the Western Collaborative? You've just started this monthly meeting, and it sounds like you've been doing some cool things. And Jose, thank you for coming. It was nice to see you.
Yeah, so the third Thursday of every month at our Ruston location, we have the Western Region Collaborative, where we invite all community-based organizations and community partners to come and join us in an opportunity to network and learn more about each other, with each month having an agency spotlight on one of our organizations. So the goal is for anyone from any of our partners that wants to build a resource binder. You'll be able to do that because we share all of the information after the meeting. So you can create your own binder and have resources right at your fingertips when you need them, because nothing's more frustrating than having somebody that you're trying to help and not knowing where to go. So at least you'll have all of the contact information from a variety of agencies and programs that you can reach out to and contact to be able to help our communities better. And also, to break the siloing, because that's so common still within behavioral health and all of healthcare, really, is we work in our little silos. So this gives agencies the opportunity to see who's in the room and then be able to approach and network and have conversations with about how they can partner and collaborate.
Yeah, and if you're just now building your client list and your stakeholder list, is a great way to start getting in touch with people. Thank you, Misty. There is an Easter basket giveaway, and it's going on right now. It's going till April 18th. If you go to Community Health Systems Incorporated, these 3 locations, and you will get an Easter basket after your child's physical or dental exam, 1 to 12 years old. So that's in the spirit. Easter hasn't happened yet, right? Okay. Did that get by me too? Planned Parenthood has some amazing classes. Disabled teenagers can get labeled as asexual, but Planned Parenthood understands this is wrong and has comprehensive sex ed for youth with special or adaptive needs. Planned Parenthood is in the chat. We can go ahead and open the meeting for our community roundtable. And if you have any events you would like to promote, invite people to, please do. And Misty, would you put that Google Docs shared drive in the chat again, please? I want to see if Diamond is still. Oh, Diamond is here. Okay. I wanted to make sure and remember that she got some Starbucks. So cool. Yeah.
Dakota, so we're doing the poison and overdose awareness at Fairmount Park on April 12th.
Okay. I think there are 3 of those also, 1 for each area of the county. Yeah.
Yes.
And those flyers are on the shared drive. Thank you, Tana.
I'll have an announcement.
Is that Claudia?
When I have the flyer ready, I'll share with you guys. I'm going to be facilitating a Take the First Step Toward Healthy You Pro 19 from 10:30 to 12. It's going to be in Eastville, and everyone's welcome. It's going to be English and Spanish. It's for a community, for community members. So whoever's interested, let me know, and I'll be sending the flyer when I have it ready.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Yeah, if you go ahead and post that to the shared drive. And when I send out a wrap-up email, I won't include the flyers, but I'll just do a quick breakdown of some of the stuff that we talked about today.
I have an announcement.
Yes, America.
Hi, this is America with PI at Inland Caregiver Resource Center. And besides the announcement that I have, I also just want to share the programs, the 2 mental health programs that we have. Pearls, a program to encourage active and rewarding lives for anyone over 60. And Thrive, CBT for later life depression, again for anyone over 60 in Riverside County who may experience some symptoms of depression. You can send them our way. We don't have a wait list and they're free. And we are also having our conference at ICRC, our conference for caregivers. So anyone who is an informal caregiver can attend the conference. It's going to be free. We're going to have keynote speakers and we're going to have lunch. It's going to be English and Spanish. the 29th of March from 9 to 2, and it's going to be in Colton.
That's April 29th, right?
May 29th.
Mhm. Thank you. I put the Pearls and Thrive and the your website in the chat. Will you have a flyer on that event?
Yeah, I do have a flyer. I can email it to you.
Sure, America. Email it to me and I'll post it to our shared drive.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get it up for you because you're my special little girl. I'll do that for you. All right, we're almost to wrap up time at 2:15. You know what? We need to vote on if we want to meet in person or online. So let me launch the poll. We're meeting on May. I can put the calendar. May 2nd, and we're going to have a special speaker, Jabran and her crew from the Mindful Body and Recovery Program. Thank you. So let me go ahead and launch this poll so we can see if we're going to meet in person or online. This is a two-part poll, please. You got two choices, in person or on Zoom. And then if it is in person, which region of the county? And then you can click Western, as we know, is Corona, Riverside, East Vale, Mid-County, Temecula, Paris, and Hemet, and Desert, everything from Catlin Mesa to Blythe. Okay, looks like it slowed down. Let's end the poll and see where we're meeting. Going to share the results now. Okay. Oh, look at that. Zoom. We're doing Zoom again. Gosh, that's so convenient. All right. Diamond, once again, thank you for joining us today. Congratulations on your Starbucks gift card. And I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. What's happening this weekend?